rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory, rise, shine, give God the glory, glory. Soldiers of the Lord. I'm going to say it right this time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We should give our Creator the honor, the praise, the glory, the hallelujah, the worship. Most importantly, the acknowledgement for choosing you, and me to be joined here this marvelous, fantastic, terrific day that we will never, ever, ever see again. So before I acknowledge myself, I acknowledge the Creator who said to rise. I could use you, Miss Cuckoo for Cocoa Pops at Weena B. That's me, y'all. Welcome to the Free to Hope from Recovery, Emerge, Enlighten, to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. And so you know that on Sundays, y'all get a whole hour of me. Yes, yes, yes. And guess what? The enemy was trying to say, Edwina, you're tired. You still got the bed marks on your face. You got in late. And guess what? The Holy Spirit said, get your butt up, because he woke you up to do what you've been doing. And that's being of service to him so that you can be of service to others like you. All right. And so I'm going to get right into it today. Normally, I would play a song and all of that. But guess what? First of all, I'm going to woosah. I'm going to woosah. Because you better believe I got up at 7:15. And I had to set everything up to go live at 7:45. I missed the Instagram login, but I'm still doing it. And then I had to, get ready. But guess what? It doesn't matter as long as I show up. But my intent was to be here with you this day that we'll never see again. And guess what the topic is today? Character building from the AA Alcoholics Anonymous Daily Reflection Reading. So I thank God I've been able to build character to show up even when I'm tired. All right? Okay, so let me take a sip of my coffee. And like I say, let me woosah. And before I get started, I want to share with you my experience these past few days. Even though I came to you from Atlanta, Georgia, I was there with the purpose-driven business with Dr. Sonja of P3 University. And when I say, listen, oh my God, Lord, I love you for what you have done and is doing in her life, for her passion and her purpose to serve. Listen, y'all, y'all got to meet Dr. Sonja, right, of P3 University. So for 3 days, 2 days, but I went a day early. And we were there with about 200, 250 women, maybe 300. And then we had the opportunity to see her do a virtual while we were all sitting there. And that was another 350 people. So she had close to 600 people. To God be the glory, to God be the glory. But most importantly, what she did was inspire the other women to say, I have the blueprint. Nobody had it for me, but I have it for you. And guess what? You can use it. And so I'm just on, I don't even know what cloud I'm on. Coming from Atlanta on that plane and reading my 4 agreements. It's 5 now by the Ruiz family. And I was so peaceful, and recognizing that, here we are in this airplane, and when you look down, you get a different perspective. But I've learned to look up so I can get that same perspective in a different way, to see the enormous and the vastness of God's creation. And so let me tell you, Dr. Sonja is in Atlanta. I'm here in Delaware. And so what she gave me was some things to do in a short period of time. But guess what? I need to share it with you so that you can look out for my announcements, for my invitations. Okay, so this is what the Spirit placed in me. Y'all know that I'm an author. As it was written is my journal entries from Crack to Christ. Let's start that. I wrote that 33 plus years ago. It was the first 4 years of journal entries that was suggested that I do. And so with that, I was able to capture the process of leaving that world of addiction and looking forward to the road of recovery. But before then, I need to say, on February the 22nd of 1990, underneath a parked car in the streets of Philadelphia, getting high with my stepson, doing all kinds of sexual favors for him. He transformed into a violent person. I transformed into a person who feared for my life. And after everything was said and done, he proceeded to want to harm me. And he punched me. I jumped out the car, started running, got a flashback from my past, playing hide and seek, of getting underneath the bed. As I continued to run, I saw the slew of cars, got underneath the parked car, only weighing 90 pounds, dark circles around my eyes, face all sunken in, hair all short and matted. I only had a few teeth at the time. And so when I put myself underneath that parked car, what I thought would save my life, the flashbacks continued. Edwina, you're 34 years old. Why are you underneath a parked car? You was the class vice president, co-captain of the cheerleader team. You wanted to be a model, an actress, a phys ed teacher. You were voted one of the ones two most likely to succeed. You was deemed the smartest of your mother's 6 kids. Why are you underneath a parked car? Your children admired and respected you. Edwina, what's wrong with you? I had the same attitude. I felt I was the scum of the earth. I felt so helpless, so hopeless, so humiliated, right? I had the self-loathing, hated myself, like, what is wrong with me? While underneath that parked car, after those flashbacks, I remember more. In my addiction of 14 years, when I was 23 years old, as a prostitute, alcoholic, and crackhead, I had an abortion. I got pregnant, and I didn't want the world to know who the father was, and I committed murder. I consider abortion murder for me. And as a result of committing that act, I said, whatever happens to me, I will deserve. I've been raped several times, passed around like a bucket, spit on, called all kinds of names. Homeboys say, B, do me, but do my boys too. If you don't do it right, I'm going to sick these dogs on you. You're either going to submit or you're going to die. I robbed dead bodies, stepped over dead bodies, seen bodies stacked up in the basement. I jumped in and out of cars, turning tricks. I broke into houses, even my sister and my children's. I even fell off a roof, right? Listen. Somewhere deep, after trying to commit suicide a couple times, these words came out. Whoever they say you are, take me out this life now or show me a better way. You choose. You choose. I'm at your mercy. I don't know you. I was taught that you was a punishing God, but whoever they say you are, please take me out this life now or show me a better way. Voila. I've been prepared to sit before you, free from recovery, emerge enlightened, to give hope to others, right? And so as a result, that's why I'm saying with the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, I will be establishing for the next 6 months a plan to invite all of you to share with me, and I share with you the journey to transparency and authenticity. Because if you see my previous podcast, which you will, I have the wig, the mask, and everything else on. But when I get into it to demonstrate a point that it's not about the messenger, it's about the spiritual message. But the physical mask must go. I snatch off the wig, I wipe off the makeup, I even take out these dentures. Yes, these are not mine. Cocaine and alcohol took mine, but recovery gave me 3 sets. All right. And so I do that for the reason of when we recognize that we have to be totally true, totally honest to ourselves in order for us to get help. So when I cried out, I asked for help, and the mask, the physical mask, was gone. And so now I need to apply that same analogy to the internal issues that are masked up and have been masked for nearly all my life by utilizing the 12 spiritual principles that are spiritual in nature, creating a spiritual experience, a spiritual awakening, a spiritual transformation to achieve a psychic change. And so therefore, I know that when I embark on these 12 spiritual principles, I feel that I'm on fire. Now, incorporating the 5 agreements by the Ruiz family and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja, I tell you. Ooh. So look out for the information, because for the next 6 months, twice a month, I'm going to have an event, and I have developed a master course. I will be asking you to pre-register by purchasing my journal so that we can start your journal of transparency to authenticity. Okay, so it's going to start in the month of April, so look out. I have the announcements coming out soon. So let's get to the topic of today. Let me put my glasses on and let's see what we have to say today. Okay, let me take another sip of my coffee. Okay. Okay. Now, I ask you to open up your spiritual ears and open up your spiritual eyes. Okay? Because we are going to dissect this bad boy. I have about 43 minutes with you, and I'm going to give it all to you because I was a couple minutes late. All right? The topic is building character. So let's see what our co-founders have to say. All right, let's go here. Take this off. I tell you, Lord, I'm so glad I woke up this morning. Okay, April the 2nd. Now, the part that is the co-founders' message should be in red, but as I said, it's up here. All right. And it is extracted from the 12 steps and 12 traditions on page 44. And it states demands made upon other people for too much attention, protection, and love can only invite domination or revulsion. The person in recovery writes his perspective. When I uncovered my need for approval in the 4th step, I didn't think it should rank as a character defect. I wanted to think of it more as an asset, that is, the desire to please people. It was quickly pointed out to me that this need can be very crippling. Today, I still enjoy getting the approval of others, but I am not willing to pay the price I used to pay to get it. I will not bend myself into a pretzel to get others to like me. If I get your approval, that's fine. But if I don't, I will survive without it. I am responsible for speaking what I perceive to be the truth, not what I think others may want to hear. Similarly, my false pride always kept me overly concerned about my reputation. Since being enlightened in the AA program, my aim is to improve my character. Voila, voila, voila. Okay. Now, so what I am going to do, right, is put this back up. And now let's have a conversation, okay? When you talk about building character, right? When you talk about building character, what comes to your mind? What is character? Okay, so let me help you. All right, so let's find out what character is, because I told y'all i'm from I'm from Missouri, right? And as a result of being from Missouri, I have to you have to show me, you have to explain to me, because I dissect these words, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right information. All right. Character. Okay. Definition. All right. All right. So let's see what it says. Okay. Character. The mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. A person in a novel or a play or movie is a character, but we're talking about something of a spiritual nature. And it goes back to the mental and moral qualities distinctive to an individual. That's what character is. Now, we know what building means, right? Listen, I'm not going to take for granted. Let's see the definition for building, all right? And so we have an idea. So let's put it in the context of what they are saying, right? Building definition, okay? It says a structure with a roof and walls, right? Such as a house, school, store, or a factory. The process of business of constructing something, okay? And so when we look at the word character building, the moral, right? The moral and distinctive qualities of an individual. All right. And so now that we have an idea what building character means, let's get into the topic. But before I do that, let me ask you this question right now. What if somebody described your character? What would they say? What would they say? If they described who you was and what you represent, what would they say about you? Ask yourself, or even ask them, right? And then, most importantly, ask yourself, what type of character do I have? What kind of morals and values do I have? It depends, doesn't it? It depends on the transition in the journey of your life here on earth. And I will state that because Donald Lawrence has this eloquent song called Spiritual, and it states, we are not a natural being having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings living and walking this natural experience here on earth called life, right? And so when we are small, our character begins to form, right? But in our fourth step that we talked about, and now with the domestication definition from the Ruiz family, our character was built by our environment, by those that that God placed our life in, by our community, by our society, the people around us. Okay, so character building, and that's why the fourth step in going back to as far as you can, where those attitudes, ideas, behaviors, actions, thoughts, attitude were first formulated, and most importantly, the belief system. All right, so now that you got a definition of that, let's go. Now, when I continue to evolve, right, as a person, I know that my character changed because I changed. All right, so let's get into the reading a little more because I'm giving you my perspective, but I want to stick to the topic. Okay, all right, so let's move this out the way. So it says here, demands made upon other people for too much attention, protection, and love can only invite domination or revulsion. Demands made upon other people for too much attention. Let's stop there. My first addiction after doing my fourth step was seeking attention. Yes, that was my first addiction. I wanted the attention of my dad. I didn't want the attention of my mom and my siblings. I wanted the attention of my daddy. That was my daddy. I wanted him to give me all the attention. And I did any and everything to get his attention. I lied, I manipulated, I created issues, problems, so I can be the only one getting his attention. And it lasted for many, many years. All right. So I know my first addiction was attention. And the first person I craved attention from was my dad. All right. So let me tell you about another attention, right? And so when I was about 5, 6 years old, my mom used to have selling parties. Okay. And so when they would come in and they would have all these drinks on the table, I was the one underneath the table. When they go to the bathroom and they turn their back, I would reach up, get the cup, drink it, go down, reach up, drink, get it. By the time I got to the end of that table, I stood up, I started laughing, I started singing, I started dancing. And all I remember was those people giving me attention and saying, "Oh, isn't she cute?" Yes. And that set the pathway for other things like that to happen. But I wanted to plant the seed that, when we talk about attention, right? And I'm not going to, paraphrase. I'm going to say demands made upon other people for too much attention, okay? Protection and love can only invite domination or revulsion, all right? So can you think back in your life where you demanded attention, protection, and love? You demanded it. We did any and everything to get it. And what did it create in individuals? Not what we expected. Not what we expected. So because we didn't get what we expected, we did even the more to get that attention, that love, right? That affection, that protection. Even when it created revulsion and domination in other people, we was going to get it. We was going to get it. That's why that fourth step is so powerful. Okay. So let's see what our person in recovery shares his perspective. Okay. He says, when I uncovered my need for approval in the fourth step, I didn't think it should rank as a character defect. So when I uncovered my need for approval, listen, when I uncovered my need for attention, for approval from others, I didn't think it was a character defect, and neither did he. And that's why the spiritual principles will help us to unravel those masks inside, those lies, those distortions, those misconceptions, right? Right. Because we didn't see it as a character defect, something that is affecting my character or morals and values. Yes. Okay. So let's continue, right? Let's put this back up and bring this up. He says here, right? I didn't think I should rank it as a character defect. I wanted to think of it more as an asset, that is, the desire to please people. Lord, thank you for the 5 agreements. Thank you for, wait a minute, here it is, okay? It's really the 4 agreements, but they have a 5th one too. But y'all need to get this book, okay? And you need to come to an open Alcoholics Anonymous meeting so that you can find out how we do this doggone thing, right? And so with the 5 agreements, it talks about that domestication of what society says we have to have and how to get it, and what society expects us to do to get it, to conform. If not, you're going to be punished or you're going to be rewarded. All right. And so here it's not an asset, right? It is a defect. But here I'm thinking, daddy, give me attention. Daddy, give me affection. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But I didn't consider anybody else. So therefore, I was selfish. I was self-centered, right? I was egotistical. I was prideful because I'm going to make my daddy love me. I'm going to make my daddy give me attention. That's not an asset. That is controlling, right? All right, so let's continue, right? So he says here, right? I wanted to think of it more as an asset than is the desire to please people, right? It's amazing because in recovery we learn the acronyms for other things like PBD. PBD, yeah, people pleasing disease, right? And so many of us are afflicted with that disease. We seek people's approval. Yes, 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 we do. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. All right, so let's continue dissecting this thing, right? So he goes on to say, it was quickly pointed out to me that this need can be very crippling. And you see why, right? And he goes on to say, today I still enjoy getting the approval of others, but I am not willing to pay the price I used to pay to get it. Mm-hmm. Now, all right, so ponder on that. Mm-hmm. Where in your history, even now, did you or are you seeking someone or others' approval? Mm-hmm. And ask yourself, from your past experiences, even your pattern, right? Even up until now, what were the outcomes? Mm-hmm. And if you have the PBD, people pleasing disease, then you, like others, got to be worn out. That's why the mask must go. Do you realize how many masks we have worn and wear to please and others, and to get their approval, to be accepted, have a sense of belonging, for you to like me? A mask for this, a mask for that, a mask for this, a mask for that. Well, who's the real Edwina? Huh? Oh my God, wanting to please our parents, our teachers, our boss, our neighbor. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? I'm so glad I'm in a 12-step spiritual program to help me uncover the mask, not just the outer, but the inner, so I can see what's really going on. What was I created for? To please my God that I didn't even know until I got into recovery. All right, so let's continue. All right, so then he says, right, I will not bend myself into a pretzel to get others to like me. And so, isn't it ironic? Check this out, y'all. Listen, I told you that's why y'all have to come to my seminars, my presentations, my workshops, and get my master course, right? Because the journey to transparency and authenticity lays out in black and white what we've been doing, but more importantly, why we're doing it. And so underneath that parkour, I thought something was wrong with me. But Dr. Turner, bless his heart, he said, Edwina, the Western culture is backwards, but they do what they do. But our African culture, and I'm just going to say our spiritual culture, as human beings, right? It's nothing wrong with us. Anything that the Creator made, there's nothing wrong with that. We need to find out what happened to us. we need to find out what happened. So that's the question. My friend Dr. Macklin says, Amina, when you shared that a few years ago, it stuck with me and I'm using it. The question is not what's wrong with you. The question should be what happened to you. And so when you think about the various environments that we seek approval, oh my God, it's like, oh my, what mask I would, I got the wrong mask off. Oh, let me put, oh no, to be accepted, to have a sense of belonging, for you to like me. What price have I paid? What price am I paying? And during my fourth step, I couldn't keep up with all the masks. So even though my drinking and drugging started out in a social way, trying to be accepted, trying to imitate the adults, trying to belong, I can't tell you when I crossed the line from social using to addictive using, okay? All right, so let's continue, all right? All right, so here he goes, right? He says, nope. Let's do this, okay? Then he goes, if I get your approval, that's fine. And if I don't, I will survive without it. Now, that's amazing because with the 12 spiritual principles and doing that fourth step inventory, we will find out all of the emotions, feelings, thoughts, behaviors, right? And how they were all formulated by whom and what condition and what situation and what environment. It gives us a reference of what happened to us where we thought something was wrong with us, right? And so with the Ruiz family, they call it domestication, conditioning, brainwashing, right? Okay. In other words, whatever captures our attention, whatever we give our attention to, right? That's who we become because we're giving more attention to that. And the people we are seeking the attention and approval from, right? They really don't know what they're doing, but they just following what societies had instilled in them all these years. And it was based on a lie, according to the Ruiz family, and I agree. All right. So now it says here, right? Let's go back. Let's move you out the way. When I think about here, it says, if I get your approval, I will. That's fine. But if I don't, I will survive without it. And so this is what recovery has taught me, and this is why you have to come to my presentation, my events, my seminars, my virtuals, to find out the journey to transparency and authenticity, right? Because there comes a time when doing the work, like keeping journals, right? Like reviewing your past to find out what happened to you, you begin to see the chaos, the drama that we indulged in with and without our permission. Yes, we had a definite part that we played in it in one shape, form, or fashion, right? But there comes a time in recovery that we say we will not give nothing and nobody that much power ever again to make us go back to drinking, for me to go underneath that park car, hell to the no. No. If it means you don't like me, you don't accept me, okay, no problem. I'm going to say, okay, boo-boo, no problem. Because it's me learning how to love myself. It's me learning how to accept myself as my creator made me. It's learning how to respect myself. Could you imagine, as an alcoholic, a drug addict, and a prostitute, what I had to do? No, you can't imagine if you haven't done it. But you have your own history. You have your own nightmare. of what you did to get other people's approval and their affection. Just do your own history. Look at your own pattern. But guess what? We had to learn in Alcoholics Anonymous in these 12 Steps program and the 5 agreements and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja. I can't do for others what I can't do for myself. So I need to be selfish when it comes to my spiritual recovery, my spiritual development, my spiritual growth. I have learned to love me just the way I am. I have learned to respect myself. I have learned to nurture myself. I have learned to be true to myself, right? And because these spiritual instruments help to elevate, right, those attainments, right, that I want to continue to use them, right? And so once, like the Ruiz family with the first agreement is be impeccable with your word. I tell Edwina, there's nothing wrong with you, boo-boo. You are wonderfully made. You are. Something happened to you, but we want to find out what that is, and we're going to allow this process to address it now that we are aware so we can change it. Okay? And so be impeccable with my word I say this morning. I wanted to lay in bed. I wanted to not go to church. I didn't want to do this. I want to lay in bed. I needed to be impeccable with my word. You made a commitment. You get up. You tell yourself you can do it. You will do it, even if you're a few minutes late. Keep your word, Edwina. Oh, voila. All right. And then, with the continuation of the 12 spiritual principles, right? We learn that the 12 steps that are spiritual in nature, along with the 5 agreements, which the second one says, don't take anything personal. Don't take anything personal, right? And so with our need for approval, could you imagine trying to please everybody? Oh my God. No wonder why I drank. Not no more. Because I realized by using these spiritual instruments, once I had my knee bowing experience underneath that parked car, that helped me, forced me to cry out through humiliation. Help me. Help me. Whoever you are, help me, please. Or take me out. So I practice these 12 spiritual principles in all my affairs, the 5 agreements in all my affairs, and the transformational teachings in all my affairs. And guess what? When I don't make assumptions and I know on the 4th agreement, I will always do my best. And the 5th agreement, it said, be skeptical, Edwina, about what you say to yourself and what you say to others and what others say, right? Because this morning, I had to be skeptical because my body was saying, Edwina, you're tired. No, don't listen to yourself, Edwina. Get up. And do what God ordered you to do this day. Okay? All right, so let's see what else has been revealed here. It says, I am responsible for speaking what I perceive to be the truth and what I think others may want to hear. Okay, I am responsible for speaking what I perceive to be the truth. Not that I lost that word, not what I think others may want to hear. Okay, so let's decipher that. I am responsible for speaking what I perceive to be the truth. Okay, so now I'm from Missouri. People say, Edwina, why did you ask that question? Oh my God, what's coming out your mouth? Edwina, well, listen. The road to transparency and authenticity for me has always been there, right? But it was diminished by other people outside circumstances when I would say, what? Huh? What you mean? What? Huh? I'll ask the questions, right? And that's why I know God picked me. We are chosen. He said, Weena, you are just cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, but guess what? I can depend on you because I've learned even the more from a spiritual angle now instead of a human angle before I got into AA, that I'm not afraid to ask the questions. And when I was afraid to ask the question, it was because of being rejected or the consequences. These 12 spiritual principles and the 5 agreements and transformational help you to do all that. And that's what I mean by the journey to transparency and authenticity. Okay, so just let me give you just one recent example, right? The other day, last week, I was in class with my peers, and the program manager said something when I wanted to suggest something different. Oh, Edwina, you're always trying to do something different, right? Mm. 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 Mm-hmm. How do I take that? How should I take that? What does she mean by that? And guess what, y'all? But 33 plus years in the program, I shut down for a minute. Oh, yes, I did. I got into my mood. I got into my mine started, right? I'm trying to, interject the 12 spiritual principles. I'm trying to interject the 5 agreements. I'm trying to interject the transformational teachings. But guess what? I needed to know the answer. And so it wasn't long, right? I allowed myself to yield and participate, but I was still holding something because I needed to know what she meant by that, right? And not take it personally, right? And so yes, when the opportunity came, I said, I need to let you know that I felt some kind of way when you said, oh, I'm always trying to do something different. What did you mean by that? What did you mean by that? And she explained, and guess what? I got the answer. Not my assumption, because my assumption was wrong because of what I thought and trying to what, right? And so that's what I mean by when I speak, what I perceive may not always be the truth, right? And so that's why we should not make assumptions, practice not taking anything personally, but be willing to ask the question. In our 12-step program, it says we try to understand than to be understood. All right. And so that's why y'all have to come to my sessions, all right? And get my master course and how the journey to transparency and authenticity is so crucial to live in your life with joy, peace, happiness, tranquility, passion, and purpose. Okay. All right. So, and then that second part, it says, not what I think others may want to hear. Now, listen, I don't know about y'all. When we wear all these masks, we know what we are doing. I mean, even as little kids, even though cognitively they don't, what I mean, but they are instinctually responding. Like, I know how to get what I want, right? And once they see you respond, they keep doing it. So that's a matter of domestication, conditioning, whatever, okay? And so I know when I went to drug rehab, the first 3 times, I didn't in the beginning. I didn't know where I was going or what recovery was about. And so when they did the interview, they was like, "Why are you here?" Well, my husband told me, or my husband to be said, if I get off a crack, he would take me to Hawaii. He was like, "Okay." And she said, "Well, how are you going to get home?" Well, he's going to pick me up in a limousine, and we're going to Hawaii. She said, "Okay." She said, okay. So guess what? I told the truth because that was the truth. That's what he told me. Now, I didn't know what environment I was in or what this recovery was about. He wanted me to get off of crack and so go to this place, get help, and okay. We celebrated my recovery from crack with champagne. Needless to say, I wound up smoking crack again. Okay. So 6 months later, I'm back in a different rehab. And she said, well, why are you here? I said, well, my husband said he would marry me if I stopped smoking crack. That was the truth, right? And she said, are you going to drink at your wedding? And I said, you're damn right. Don't everybody drink at their wedding? That was the truth. That's what I told her, because that was the truth. Not understanding again what this recovery thing was about. And so instead of celebrating my recovery from crack with champagne, we celebrated with Heineken's. He had a house full of cases of beer celebrating my recovery from crack. 6 months later, I'm back to smoking crack again. So we know that when we are seeking people approval or we want to get their attention, we manipulate, right? In some cases, right? And then there are times when we actually tell the truth because we really don't know the other side or the information, which is why questions are important. But what I'm getting at is that if I know you like cherries and I don't like cherries, I'm going to say I like cherries to please you. If I know that you like hanging out at night and I go to bed at 8:00, I'm going to please you and stay out late and not really enjoy myself just to please you. You got the drift, right? All right. So not what other people want to hear. All right. And so here it goes on to say, right? Similarly, my false pride always kept me overly concerned about my reputation. My pride, my ego, my pride. My father was a prideful man. Oh, yeah. My mother even ironed his socks and underwear. Are you kidding me? But he was prideful. Yes. And because I wanted my dad's attention and affection, I imitated everything my dad did, even try to pee like him. I did. Listen, he stood up and I went to the bathroom. I stood up and tried to, I even tried to pee like my dad. That's how much I love my dad, right? If I act like him, maybe he'll give me more attention, right? And so this basically says, similarly, my false pride always kept me overly concerned about my reputation. False pride. Did you hear that word? My false pride. When we do the work, we will learn what pride is and what false pride is. So now this young man sharing his perspective, my false pride kept me overly concerned about my reputation. That's why I get on here with those wigs and that makeup and whatever. And then when the spirit hits me, I snatch it off, wipe off the makeup. I even take out these dentures. I do it. Listen, I ain't gonna share my secret. Wait a minute. My false pride kept me overly concerned about my reputation. Well, what are they gonna think about me? That's why I had that abortion. I didn't want to be judged, and I didn't want to be criticized by the world. My reputation was at stake. As a prostitute? As a drug addict? As an alcoholic? Are you kidding me? Well, I guess that's what I thought. All right. All right. All right, so let's go. Then the last thing he says, since being enlightened in the AA program, my aim is to improve my character. Since being enlightened. And see, that's what I want to give y'all. Freedom. Free to hope. From recovery, emerge enlightened. That's what Alcoholics Anonymous has done, is doing for me. Now incorporating the 5 agreements and the transformational teachings by Dr. Sonja. I don't represent any of them, but I represent the God who met me, delivered me from underneath that parked car just the way I was. He gave me freedom. He set me free. From recovery, emerge enlightened. From recovery, emerge empowered. That's my passion. But my purpose is to give hope to others, help others prosper equally. This is what the spiritual wisdom and the spiritual tools and instruments and knowledge, awakenings, experiences has done for me. Created a psychic change. When we apply spiritual principles to all earthly matters, we good. We just smile and thank God for the 5 agreements. I'm telling you, and the transformational teachings. I can talk about that all day, but I got to get ready to go to my meeting. Y'all know that, right? All right. So, and so in closing, what he basically is saying, right, is that since being enlightened in the AA program, being enlightened in the AA program, not around it, not under it, not over it, in the AA program. Practicing, internalizing, dissecting, evaluating, assessing, conducting surgery on these 12 spiritual principles. Yes, in the AA program, within a spiritual fellowship. Yes, we are enlightened. We are set free. And it is our obligation, our duty, and now my honor to give it away, what was so freely given to me, so that you too can be set free and give hope to others. All right? So now, y'all know, okay, I ain't got but a couple more minutes. All right, so what I want to do is briefly share with you what we did all week, okay? Now, on March the 27th, my topic was, and you can always go back to my archives, we talked about the AA's freedoms, right? And so here, when we talked about the AA freedoms, thank God that, let's see. So we talked about that. Then on March the 28th, we talked about equality. On March the 29th, we talked about trusted servants, right? March the 30th, we talked about our group conscious. And on March the 31st, we talked about no one denied me love. And yesterday, we talked about looking within. And so now we are talking about building character, all right? And so we're going to also go over briefly what the 5 agreements are. Be impeccable with your word. Don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions. And always do your best. Be skeptical, but learn to listen. All right, so I got to get ready to go, but I do want to Instagram, I'll deal with you later. But right now, let me close out by saying that I want you all to look forward to my invitations on my Free to Hope presentations, where my focus will be, along with my master course, the journey to authenticity and transparency. Okay? Be safe, be well, build character, look within, so that you too can be of service to your fellow man by receiving good, orderly directions from the God of your understanding. Be blessed, and if it's God's will that we are reunited tomorrow, I'll see you then.